Hi guys, welcome back to Prospect Channel TV. Thank you for always coming out here. My people, what happened today in Abuja will shock you. Hey, Ushaware and Nigerian youths now so they boss the IGP of Nigeria, Pateko office. Now in this man jump, they say he jump gate come off from back. They say make him comot, he don reach, make he retire. Okay, make he retire, make he comot for office, because this one they no go take am again. Nigerians so many things just dey happen now, and e come be like say with what is happening, Nigerians they don remove fear from their eye. Abeg, make we gather here together to see what is happening in Nigeria. They say Nigeria IGP go waka comot for office. Okay, abeg, if this is your first time of joining us, please kindly subscribe to this channel. Abeg, don't forget to share this video, make it go viral, make Nigerians understand wetin dey happen today. Okay guys, make I leave you so we go watch this video together. I will be right back.
Address the press, but not water. Remember, I'm not supposed to make it convenient for water on our way. Water on our way. Greatest Nigerian people. Greatest Nigerian people. We came here today because we are not talking about the removal of the IG of police. Mr. Kayode Egbetokun, who has been occupying the position of the police IGP office illegally. Thank you. We thought that we had forgotten. That is why we removed every other person who is supposed to have retired. He retired them. He has retired several DIGs, AIGs, CPs in the last 2 months. But he has refused to retire himself. Whereas in Nigerian country, security is going down. As you are aware, over 60 persons were killed in Plateau State last week. Yes. It is after they were killed that the Egbetokun decided that he will mobilize the tactical squad. What happened to intelligence gathering? Right. Is it the intelligence department only for tracking social media critics of the government? How is it that the Nigerian police force cannot gather intelligence and know that 60 people will be massacred in retired and tired who has refused to leave office? We are not pleading with the police or trying to play to the gallery, and we are also not trying to patronize anybody in the police, but the police force deserve new blood to manage the Nigeria police force. Others who are trained, who have risen through the ranks, who are supposed to become IG, desire to become IG. Exactly. If Tinubu is so much in love with Egbetokun, I cannot do without him. He can make him, after his retirement in 2004, the manager of NURTW to deputize for Oluomo. But anybody that's retired don't have the right to wear the Nigeria Police Force uniform anymore. That is why we came here today again to remind him. And as you can see, this is the irony of Nigeria. These are two retired police officers. This one retired as an inspector, and because we couldn't cope with the retirement entitlement and benefits, he continued to be a police officer. He was arrested for illegally operating as a police officer. This one also has retired 24 September after reaching 25 years as a police officer, and he has also refused to leave. But the irony is that he continues to enjoy the office here where this man is in jail. That is why we are using this as our own benchmark for comparison of how Nigeria has been illegally treating themselves, or these officers. And is our position, we stand with police. But we have also said it, that in standing with the police, if the police misbehave, any police officer in this country will hear from us. No police officer has a right to abuse anybody's right. But we also have a duty to protect the police and ensure that they get the best benefits and entitlements as police officers in the country. We want to ensure that every policeman upon retirement gets 100% of their retirement benefits, just like AIGs, DIGs, and also the illegal IGPs enjoy. So Egbetoku must go. Egbetoku must go. Egbetoku must go. Egbetoku must go. IGP must go. Illegal IGP must go. Egbetoku must go. Egbetoku must go. Egbetoku must go. The 1999 constitution that the military established made it very clear that the retirement age of everybody in public service is 35 years after being in service, or 60 years, or having reached the age of 60 years. So there is no other way. There's no other explanation. There's no way you can change the law after the man has retired. The law they are referring to was changed after he has retired. The same AGF said this as of 2024 September. I think somewhere in 2024. That Egbetoku is leaving September 2024. So, but we are not here because of the AGF. We are here because this Nigeria police force here must be properly run by people who are competent and are not tired. That's why we are here. The office here cannot be operated illegally. And the reason we are interested in the police is because the police is the most powerful security agency in this country. They also have the highest number of personnel. So they cannot be mismanaged or managed by somebody who is not supposed to be in the police force. That's as simple as ABC. No AGF can decide that for us. Even Tinubu cannot tell us that. That is why the Nigerian country is going down in terms of security, because you have a guy who is tired and who has retired, who has refused to leave. The morale in the police is dead because of Egbetoku. The policemen are no longer willing to risk their lives because they know they have no future.
Yes, yeah.
If you enter the police as an ASP, your goal is to become IGP, right?
Yes,
so when are you going to become IGP when one IGP refuses to leave after he has retired? When are you going to become DIG? When are you going to become AIG? When are you going to get promoted from inspector to anywhere if the man at the top holds your destiny? So it's not just a matter of law, it's a matter of fairness, it's a matter of practice and tradition. And this applies to any other person who is holding positions in the security forces. The moment you are retired and you are tired, you have to go. It applies to, I heard the woman also in what's it called? Immigration had her tenure extended. She has no right to have her tenure extended like that, even though her own extension is till next year. But we are against it, even if it is for one day. And let's make it very clear, after Egbetoku is kicked out of the police, Egbetoku must eventually return every salary he received at, over and above September 4th of 2024.
Yeah, I have two questions.
Yes.
One, is there anything that he has done besides the fact that the government has extended his tenure that you think he should do? Two, are you now crying more than the bereaved because there's no police officer today that is not happy with the extension?
So now that they can collectively bargain for their rights and conditions of service, but they are not allowed. So, but if you go and take a poll among police officers here, if you walk into even this place, they will tell you that they are not happy with the solution of Egbetoku. We talk to them, they talk to us, so they know that the man is killing the police force. And I just expressed to you, because you asked another question, that what has he done apart from not retiring? Are you not hearing about what happened in Plateau State and Katsina State? Over 60 people were killed in Plateau State. Egbetoku is just deploying tactical forces this morning. That's what they say he will do. He will deploy the tactical groups after 60 people have already been killed. Because the man has no idea how to run the Nigerian police force. Borno State is back in the hands of Boko Haram. Don't let anybody deceive you. It is not the job of the army to be fighting internal security. It's the job of the police. But the police that is headed by a person who is tired and who has retired cannot have the morale to fight crime or fight insecurity or terrorism. That is what we are saying. That you cannot hold the destiny of the Nigerian police force and its institution to one man who himself is dying, in my view. That's why we have the situation that we have in Nigeria today. There's no question about the fact that the man has no idea and the country is deteriorating in terms of security. That's the other funny part about the man. He doesn't resume until 1 o'clock because he's tired. Very lazy. I'm sure he has not resumed now. He's
probably still sleeping.
Is that to Korea yet?
When the country is hungry, they finish it.
No. As the IGP is to work? Yes. Where is he?
Mr. Isha.
We can take him home. We want to take him home.
He's still sleeping. He's not resumed yet.
I know. Bullet wounds. It's the continuation of our campaign to start the IGP. So, me, we have been tired. So, we are not here campaigning for it. Tired officially as of September 2012, I mean, November 2024. But he has refused to leave the office. That is why
there's a law saying that he has a tenured appointment, and meaning that he can stay.
There's no tenure appointment that supersedes what the constitution says about their own constitution about the kind of 35 years in service. He has to pay for.
So can it be goes up to speed taking that? What is how many of
over 6 people were arrested and Abuja
When the state government talked about insecurity worsening in the state, what is the take on this?
That's the reason why the IGP finally so that the main law system and security. Not just work, the job of the security, not the action. I mean, because of how soon we decide to do no traffic work. That's the way it is. So, if there's failure in Bolo, as you've seen in Plateau, you can see that the last few weeks, is this man that's responsible for it. That's why he must leave so that new set of hands Alright? So what we are going to do, and we are warning the police not touch this because we spend a lot of money to produce this banner. We are leaving it here so that when you resume, we want to put one to be facing here, take one to be facing here, take it down, and we take one to be facing I can see don't carry it. Why people are following this way? How can you touch our way? I did not hear you. 1,
I never stopped. Let's go. Alright, so let me warn them. Don't touch our banner. If you touch our banner, we'll come back to work. Just leave it here. We're not blocking any road. Yeah, we don't want to make sure that you don't touch the banner.
No, I'm not adjusting my goal. I'm not a police officer. I don't need to dress like you. Just don't block the road for me.
We're not blocking the road. Don't block the road.
Make public decision.
Papa. I will call you back. I'll call you back. I'll be able to, but I'll call you back.
Bring it.
I'll call you back.
No more explanation now. Come on.
When he resumes, give him.
And by the way,
They should release him.
they should release this man and put him back in the police force until all of them start to do the police.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. We shall always fight.
Oh, freedom cometh by struggle.
Oh, freedom come by struggle, freedom.
Freedom cometh by struggle.
By struggle, freedom.
Liberation cometh by struggle.
Freedom come by struggle. Cometh by struggle, freedom come by struggle, freedom come.
When my say,
Take over, when my sins take over, all oppressors,
all oppressors,
then go run away. When my sins take over.
Well, a number of issues in the country, and this was a nationwide declaration primarily to restore, free speech to Nigeria. If you have monitored and followed my activities or our activities recently, you see that we've been pulling young Nigerians who are using social media to express themselves from one police station to the other. You saw me in Lagos accompanying a youth corporate to the local government inspector's office. You've seen situations where we had to go to court. I myself have faced 3 major charges of cybercrime. First was in 2019 when Buhari was in power, and then Neduwoko got me arrested and charged, and then the IG of police recently also charged me to court, and which led to the seizure of my international passport for the last 3 months. So we are asking that this particular notorious law be repealed immediately, and that it has no place in a democratic country. But we also had expanded this to allow different units of TIB to campaign and protest over issues affecting them. And the country today is in shambles. A lot of people are complaining of hunger, starvation. You have a lot of illegalities going on in Rivers State. Kogi State was denied of their representation in the Senate. People have no jobs. The shelves are empty. And in view of all of this, the movement decided to start rallying people across the country to fight back. And this is just the beginning of it, by the way.
When you say this is the beginning, what do you mean by that? You mean is it day one, or is going to be a series in what you have planned? What exactly do you mean by that?
It's a series in what has been planned to have some of these protests, but over time in intensity and volume, these protests will get bigger, because we are very sure that Nigerians are tired of the social, political, and economic conditions that they are confronted with, and the fact that, in all of it, they seem not to have leaders who care about their situation, and they're just going on about thinking about how to grab power and not how people can survive in this country known as Nigeria, their country.
Well, in all of this, is there any all of the any of the agitation that is new. It does look to me like you have described exactly what has gone on for years in the country. Is there anything new in what you are agitating about on the streets of Nigeria today?
Well, you are saying that if someone is if someone took ill and hasn't been cured of the illness or ailment, we should stop applying medicine so that they can survive. That's what it sounds to me like you are repeating. We're just saying that it may not be new, but it is now starting to threaten the existence of the people of Nigeria. You cannot have a country where people have nothing to eat, where people have unemployment on a larger scale. You have some of the worst situations in terms of inflation, and then you tell people, young people, of inflation, and then you tell people, young people who are not being cared for, that they can't speak on TikTok, they can't talk on Twitter, they can't express themselves. You slam on them pretty much kind of colonial era type of law, which used to be called sedition, is now Cybercrime Act, which was promulgated, by the way, in talk, and if they do, you can throw them in jail for as long as you want. One young person known as Tuma spent 50 days in detention until like 2 weeks ago when we got him out, because he made a TikTok broadcast that insulted, according to the police, the wife of the president. Before then, some ladies spent the last Christmas and New Year in detention and in prison because he said something that the son of the president did not, according to the police, insulted the son of the president. So you are holding the entire country at the behest of a family that is performing poorly. It doesn't matter how long it takes. People are just now fighting back. Maybe you see a more robustly and intense resistance against the culture of oppression in the country, because just as you're having these, people are also very concerned about a lot of things, including electoral integrity in the next upcoming election, because we are now aware that the president of Nigeria doesn't even want to leave power. He has connived with some guys in the National Assembly to ratify a law that will give us what they call a parliamentary system of government in which he will spend 6 years, and that will give him 10 years in power. That is their secret plan. So we're planning our own openly to resist and ensure that we take our country back from these guys who are just running it aground on a daily basis.
And where are you getting that story from? That there are plans
you are aware that there's
overstaying of power,
yes,
or a sit-tight tendency that you're describing.
Yes, you are aware that there's a bill in the House of Representatives that has passed the second reading that is asking Nigeria to go back to the parliamentary system. If we do that, which is their secret plan, President Tinubu, after finishing his first 4 years, will now start operating a parliamentary system in which he will have 6 years to spend in power. Because without this, he knows he cannot win elections again, or any kind of election. And it looks like they may not get away with rigging election as they used to be. But you know that this exists, and you also know that one of the things I do, I moonlight as a reporter. So not like, like I usually say, I'm a busybody reporter or journalist.
In all of
information that may not be available to everybody.
In all of what you have described, on whose desk or at whose doorstep would you lay this blame or these blames?
Considering that there are no separations of powers in this country, the blame is on the doorstep of the president, who runs both the judiciary, the legislative arm, and the executive arm without qualms. There's nobody in this country tonight that is watching you and I who doesn't know that the judiciary and the legislative arm and the executive have merged together. And we are running pretty much a captured state. We have said this. They've engaged in state capture, successfully captured the state. The judiciary has capitulated under, their command. The rubber stamp, it would be an insult to rubber stamp to call the National Assembly a rubber stamp, because rubber stamps at least have dates. They don't. And they have integrity. They don't.
Now, let me, Mr. Shore, in all of what you have described, for example, and I will start from what the police said yesterday. They advised and pleaded that you should not go ahead with the protest because it coincides, and according to them, it came off as though there was some kind of mischief in your planning. How come you're planning such a thing on the day that the Nigerian police says that it wants to, or the nation is celebrating the National Police Day? And they pleaded, or they told you and warned that you should not hold the protest today. But why do you insist on going? Why did you go ahead with the protest as against the police's warning?
If I recall correctly, the Nigerian police has spent, it's 95 years old, according to the police that we have now. The police that started during the colonial era is over 125 years old, because it started as a kind of constabulary of the Queen, and it has mutated over time. At the time, it was I think it was Katsina constabulary, used to be called Askari, all kinds of mutation. But today was the day the police ought to have proven that it's the police for the people. If there was a professional test that could be conducted, it is what we did today, and they failed terribly at it. But you see, I'm even surprised that more Nigerians didn't know that today was police day. We could have disrupted it, because the police has failed us as a force for good. It has become an evil force in this country that everybody is fearful of, people deride, and people no longer trust. And the blame is, of course, is laid on illegality, illegitimacy, and impunity that police has become. If I knew in advance that they have a police day today, even before we plan our protest, even if a protest was not planned, I could have taken a personal protest against them, because this is the best day to protest against the police, on their day. And look at how they performed today, woefully again. They attacked us unprovoked. They are intolerant. They have no respect for human rights. There were 3 persons that were arrested, and one of them a journalist today. They were made to lay down in what we call gutter, the drainage, and they poured tear gas on them. They beat them silly with the plank attached to their placards. We just got them released this evening. That's the police force you don't want us to protest against. I wish we knew this and planned it bigger. We could have actually disrupted their police day. That's what should happen to a force that is not for the good of the people. And when I say this, well, they will say, but you can't do without the police. Of course, you can't do without a good police, but you can do without a bad police. And that is why part of our position today is that they should remove, or the man who is their chairman today, or the IGP of police, who has been illegally occupying his position, should step down. He has finished his tenure. He has completed his time in the police force. He's wearing a uniform illegally, because any day after 35 years in service or 60 years as police chief, you are not supposed to be wearing that uniform. And if the people who actually kept him there really badly want him to continue, they should find a place for him to be at, not the police force, because the police force is supposed to be a professional organization that has a leadership that's still a member of the police force, not the one that's retired and is tired and, also sick.
Those who are saying Showore is just angry because he lost the election and is still finding it difficult to come to terms with that loss. How do you react to those who are saying this? That's the reason. That's your agenda about all of these protests and agitation that you are supporting or convening.
When I was fighting for June 12 in 1993, which election did I lose? Tell me.
I'm asking you to respond to those who feel that all of these agitations...
No, I'm responding to them. I'm responding to them. When I was 21 years old, I fought to restore a mandate of Abiola. You've seen the video. In fact, the only video of me that existed with Abiola was taken by Channels Television. John Momo, your proprietor. I'm asking the people you said are saying this, that in their own childish mind, which election did I lose in 1993 that got me to almost get killed by Babangida and Abacha, and also got me expelled from the university? Which election did I lose that I'm bitter about at that time?
But are you bitter though? Sure. Are you bitter about that election? Do you still feel that you probably should be in that office that President Bola Tinubu is occupying? Is that how you feel?
No, I see they didn't have any election in 2023, and I've stated this repeatedly on your show. So you cannot lose something that did not happen. Of course, the reason I contested the election was to win the election. But we were not confronted with an election. We were confronted with a selection. Nobody can defeat a person that is selected in a game that was not played. So we often use, soccer a lot. I'm talking about football because Nigerians are crazy about football. If you go and watch a football match, or you are watching a football match on TV, and the referee tells you at the beginning of the match that the match is not going to hold as planned, that only one side of the team is available to play, and in 45 minutes or 90 minutes, they declare a winner when the others were driven away from their side of the game. Would you accept that? Would you really think that's an election? That's why. So that's why I don't understand why people keep talking about the election as if this Bola Tinubu did something spectacular. He won an election. He campaigned, and people voted for him. All of you knew none of that happened. So what are we talking about? Why do you keep calling a selection process an election? Why are you derising such a despicable?
I'm not sure.
By saying
I'm not sure some
oh,
people will agree with you, especially those who legitimately voted and those who conducted the exercise and those who feel otherwise as you feel today. But the big question here, Mr. Showore, is do you feel a sense that you want to be Nigeria's president and you could do better? If that is the case, what in your own feeling or in your mind do you think you would have done better than what is going on at the moment? The present government will tell you that it's a pain in the moment that will yield to gains at the end of the day. The decision of that the past leaders couldn't take is the hard, tough decision that Bola Tinubu government is taking.
So we're repeating the same tired story and argument that if we inflict pain through the structural adjustment program, which was Babangida's story in those days, if you tighten your belt, then everything will be okay. But the only people who are gaining from it are the people who have no belt to tighten, because they have eaten so much they can't even fit into, a pair of trousers that has belts. The question you should be asking yourself is, are you doing well in this country? Is everything okay with you? If something is okay with you in this country, then we need to check you out to see how you are doing better, why the rest of us are not doing well. That is the issue. It's not about anybody telling you that, oh, we took hard decisions. Instead, they were taking hard decisions, and that when they took those decisions, suddenly you will have roads because they were able to migrate the profit or whatever revenue they made to construct roads. There will be better schools. They will give you student loans. They will do all of this. What has happened to the country? What is happening to Naira after you are no longer paying subsidy? Your Naira went from 400 Naira to 1,566 today. What happened to electricity? They took it from the electricity where some people couldn't afford it already to the one that is eviscerating the pocket of everybody. What happened to the price of data? I'm talking about internet data. They are in this country now engaging in outright robbery of data. I'm talking about MTN. You can buy 50,000 Naira worth of data, and within 4 days, it's gone. And their so-called 5G network. What is happening to your life? What is happening to your condition? What is happening to the living condition of our people? Is there anybody who can sit back today and say, I'm doing well? Except, of course, those people who are in power, who are in government, their cronies, their friends and partners. That is what you should be talking about, not the hard decisions that were taken. Nobody took a hard decision. People didn't know what to do, and they thought that by doing what is wrong and calling it hard, it will be acceptable because when it's presented that way, people can be fooled by it. It's just like, Donald Trump is saying in the U.S., oh, we took a decision on your behalf on tariffs, and you should wait, you're going to do better. And a few weeks later, Americans in 1,000 cities protested against Trump yesterday. By the way, nobody was tear gas. 1,000 cities, and you can see the crowd. And people here are saying, you have not taken any hard decision. You have not taken any decision at all except the decision to destroy your countrymen and women. That is what Bola Tinubu regime has done. Nothing else has happened that shows that a hard decision was taken for the good of the public or for the good of the Nigerian people. So don't let us continue here to patronize a terrible government that has done nothing but bring about hardship. Hardship is different from hard decisions. The only hard decision they took was to make sure that they inflict hardship on the people. And it wasn't a hard decision today, it was a callous decision.
But Mr. Showore, what would you have done differently, considering if you take one or two instances on the policies of this government? If you were in the president's shoes, what would you have done differently?
Well, we have discussed this repeatedly, that one of the things I would never have done was to remove subsidy on the first day. Yes, I would have removed the corruption that is involved in subsidy, since we have all agreed that corruption has ruined the subsidy regime in the country. I would not have floated the Naira. I've said this before to you on your show. You can just play back everything I said during the election. I am not one of the people who shy away from telling the truth. And there's records of my interview with you in particular, showing that I would not remove subsidy, I will not float the Naira, and I said I will handle the monetary department in such a way that Nigeria will be able to build its base, power base, particularly because no matter what you say about Nigeria today, there is no amount of rigmarole, there's no amount of passion, of organizing that can put the Nigerian economy together without putting the basics together, producing. We will have to have power, energy to be able to produce. And you have to be able to put an infrastructural project in place that get people employed and build the country. You have to invest in education. Those are the things I would have done. I said to you, I will not give student loans. I'll be giving them grants so that they don't have to deal with thinking about how to pay back these loans. I've been in a country that was giving student loans to people. I'm still owing loans to America that I borrowed almost 20 years ago when I attended Columbia University. I know how depressing it is not to be able to pay back your loan and then have to be doing things you shouldn't be doing because you're owing loans. But here you are subsidizing loafers. People do nothing for you. And the ones that need a future that can build the country, you're asking them to stay in a state of peonage.
Now, so my question to you will be, how do you relate with what the president and the government is saying? That Nigeria, under this government, is on the right path. That is what the APC and this government are telling Nigeria. That we're done a moment. This pain is just momentary. It will go away. In your mind, do you think we are drifting? Or we should hold on to the renewed hope that the government is preached to Nigerians to say, momentarily, we will feel the pain, but at the end of the day, we shall see the gain. And they will go ahead to mention a lot of the policy decisions that they've made that, according to this government, have set Nigeria on the right path, albeit a very tough and difficult journey it has been.
There is nobody who needs to be told in this country that the only path that these guys have taken Nigeria, I'm talking about the Tinubu regime, is a perilous path, a path to destruction, and it's a path to nowhere, and a path from which Nigeria cannot return, or Nigerians cannot return and be the same again, ever. So they are the only ones who believe that. Is it not the same APC people that closed down borders and told you that, oh, the moment we close down the borders for a year or 2 years, we are going to be producing local rice, and some 5 years later, there's no local rice, there's no foreign rice? Are they not the same people who told you that if you accept their difficult decisions in floating the naira, you are going to be all right? Are they not the same government, the APC government, that told you if they change the color of the naira, you are going to end corruption, while the central bank governor at that time was stealing and looting the country? So these guys are taking you on a perilous path. I am advising you, don't follow them onto this path to perdition. Don't. Take your country back from this regime. They have nothing good to offer you. The only good thing they have to offer you is something they have to offer themselves. Buy a brand new jet, spend every other market day in France, taking care of themselves while you suffer until you die.
Yeah, just a moment. I like to know, in all of this, how do you think, because apart from the protest and the rallies that you are organizing and the agitations, how do you think you can change things? Are you joining your very good friends, the Atiku Abubakars of this world, the Peter Obis of this world? Because we are understanding they are coalescing, they're coming together, they are aligning forces. Some of them are joining the SDP. Are you also joining the SDP? Do you have plans to form a coalition? What method? Because there are those who say there is no pathway to defeating Bola Tinubu in 2027.
I am not joining any coalition. The coalition that they joined in 2013 and 2014 is what brought about the APC. So joining another coalition in 2025 is doing the same thing all over again without thinking about achieving a different set of results. With the coalition that needs to be built, and I have said this and I will reiterate on your show, is the coalition of the oppressed. These are the two coalitions we need. But joining another coalition that is made up of the same people who were the ones who created the coalitions that have ruined Nigeria is an injustice, an injury to the people of Nigeria. So you can never see me in their coalition. I will never be part of it. I'm not joining the SDP. I'm not joining any of the peace in Nigeria's political system. I'm not part of the people playing chess with the destiny of Nigerian people.
So you are running this all by yourself. You are going solo, one-man battalion. That's what you are doing. You're running this race.
No.
By the way, do you plan to run in 2027? So if that's the case, you're running against the status quo, the run of play all by yourself.
I've told you before, and I'm not doing it to play politics on your show. that I never stop running. Never. I am probably the only candidate you can see on the street who has been doing things that he believed in, carrying out things I believe would permanently put an end to this kind of politics of, deception that has put Nigeria in a condition that it is today. You don't have to worry about running it alone. I'm not running it alone. When the numbers grow, when Nigerian people finally are tired of being treated like trash in their own country, everybody will come together, and then you know where the power lies, with the people.
How do you hope to be able to do this in our present political climate? To be realistic, Omoyele.
Your present political climate is what you described. The political climate in which politicians, gerrymanders, carpetbaggers keep changing their location without changing their character. So that's the political climate that's the one you talk about, that's the one you understand. I'm not accusing you of promoting it, but that's what you're used to. But there's also a politics of liberation, and that is the politics that brings the people together, and they decide one day that enough is enough. That is the part that people probably haven't seen, and it's going to come to pass, and we will one day sit down, hopefully, and say, well, I told you so, that we can make it happen the other way around. There's no one part to... The only part you're described with coalitions and conversations around old politics is the route or the route to perdition.
On a final note, Mr. Ashore, where do we go from here as a people? You have devised the means of going to the street. Would that solve our problem? Just 30 seconds to wrap up, please.
Well, when enough people rise up and say they are no longer going to be controlled by fear, they are no longer going to live in a country where they're treated as slaves. When enough people say, like the Chinese people did, the Americans did, the French people did, the Cuban people did, in fostering upon themselves a spirit of a rejection of the status quo ante, which battered their own revolution, whether you call it cultural, physical, spiritual, then Nigeria would get it right. I believe that if everybody can rise up and revolt, there will be a resolution of our problems. I have no doubt about it that we cannot vote ourselves out of the condition that we're in now. When I mean votes that have been determined and counted before election day. So, yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashore.
Alright guys, thank you very much for staying to the end of this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to share. Thank you. Bye for now.